Okay, we're recording. So I'll call the meeting to order at 7:30 p.m. and do roll call. Barry Johnson, I'm here. Mark Rubin.
He was here.
Hi, Mark.
Here.
We'll come. Thanks. Joe Perry.
Here.
Randy Freed. At the moment. And Abby is excused. She's visiting her grandmother in Mexico. So we do have a quorum. We have 3 out of 5. Number 2, approval of January 4th, 2023 Transportation Committee meeting minutes. Does anyone have any additions to the minutes? Go ahead, call in user 1.
Yes, regarding the minutes, you didn't put in there that you want to beat me under Dunn's authority. In Van Nuys, they try to do that. Terrible neighborhood council, Van Nuys. They try to put it in there, but I'm disappointed that you didn't put it in there. I expect better from you, Mr. Johnson. So you need to add to beat up the not goat puppet's son and the goat puppet. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on this item, number 2? Do any committee members have any additions? Seeing none, we will consider the minutes approved. Thank you. Moving on to number 3, update by the committee chair. Just wanted to mention that our 2 January motions both passed. The first one was opposing the terminating the sale of gasoline, diesel, and natural gas passenger vehicles in LA by 2030. We opposed it just because the state has already chimed in on that for 2035. And the city really needs to quit chiming in on things that the state's already done because they're preempted anyway. And our second motion was the board opposing the LADOT report removing traffic lanes from streets for the average driver until we have an intricate enough mass transit system to efficiently support all the destination routes used by Los Angeles drivers. That also passed. Go ahead, we'll do public comment number 3, call-in user number 1.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to file a grievance against you. First of all, in Van Nuys, chairmen don't update anything because they never come prepared. They always do it off the cuff. Unfortunately, you came prepared, and that's not the right way to run a neighborhood council. You cannot be transparent. I'm going to have to tell Dunn that this is racism, because if you came unprepared, that would not be racism. That would be inclusivity for safe space. So I'm going to file a complaint that you came prepared and you're very transparent, and you just can't do that anymore. Shame on you. Thank you.
Thank you, call-in user number 1. Go ahead, Peter.
Hi, I'm wondering if this committee, I assume this is within this committee's jurisdiction, if we could get an update from Ben Besley as to, or maybe not Ben, maybe from the bid, as to what available parking spots or lots are available within walking distance of Sportsman's that are available for lease. Once that project starts, they announce that there won't be any on-site parking for some time, and that the shops would have to lease their own, find their own spots off-site. And the only spots that I know of are on Alcove and Woodbridge and whatnot. But it'd be nice to see what the plan is, instead of being blindsided, where our neighborhood's being overrun. So speaking of our neighborhoods being overrun, it's a pretty common occurrence multiple times a day that somebody parks in front of my house on Alcove and walks down the river, takes the shortcut because they're late for a gym class. That seems to be the MO in right in front of my spot, in front of my house, because they're telling me when I ask these people that it's not that they don't want to take their fancy cars over there. They're finding that there's no available parking. That's how out of control it is there. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'll ask Ben, but I bet you he's not going to say, I mean, he won't say it in these words, but he's going to say it's not my problem. The businesses have to find parking for their people, I suppose.
Maybe it's a question
but-
for Dean, and Dean Cutler can have make a report as to the bid should know what parking is available.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the bid may have heard from businesses already that are freaking out about having to find parking for their employees, not to mention their patrons. So yeah, I'll check with him. I'll send emails to both, but
Great, thanks.
I'm not counting on anything from Ben, but yeah, well, I'll try. Thanks.
Alrighty.
All right. I'll move on to number 4. We've sort of entered that already. Does anyone have a public comment, number 4, further? Go ahead, call in user 1.
Well, why does this neighborhood council have a transportation committee? Because in Van Nuys, we used to have one, and every time the representatives from Metro and all that called the chair says show up, and you know how long the chair gave these people? 2 minutes. His name was Jason Ackerman. He is a self-described communist. So that's what the shit that we have. So you get someone, a vice president or whatever from Metro, trying to explain certain things, and you get some shithead from Van Nuys, because that's all we get over there are fucking shitheads and socialists and useless people. There are a couple ones that are nice, but they normally resign after they know, after the socialists bully them. And they only got 2 minutes. So, Mr. Chairman, you need to run it more like Van Nuys and be completely oblivious, curt, always complain that some conservative Republicans on the phone, being a complete dickhead. And, in Van Nuys, at least with the transportation, they deal with the prostitution. That's getting better. So my question is, when the prostitution gets better with the transportation, does that mean better looks, better service, better pricing? And that's never been identified in Van Nuys. I don't think you guys have that problem in Studio City. So you got to do more like Van Nuys. You can fuck up a junkyard. And if you keep this up, I'm going to complain to Dunn that you're not being an asshole. Thank you.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Hi, Barry. Thank you. I just want to put out a safety. I may have discussed it with you, I don't know, several months ago, but it's the intersection of Hortense and Goodland on the east-west street, which is Hortense. There are stop signs, but there are no stop signs on Goodland. And my son got into a car accident several months ago. He had the right of way going south on Goodland, and a guy just popped out thinking that he had a stop sign as well, and slammed into him. He was fine, but those accidents happen more and more frequently. And I've almost popped out, and if there are cars parked along the north side of the street, it's really hard to see around it, and then cars can pop out of nowhere. So I don't know. I think that's a candidate for some kind of motion, maybe to install 2 additional stop signs on the northbound directions, just so it's 4-way, and it's 4-way at other slots along Hortense. So I don't understand why it's the exception. Anyway, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, we'll look into why it's not a 4-way stop and that it could be. All right, thanks. Go ahead. Joe, I'm going to go to number 5 because you're responding, I'm assuming. So go ahead, Joe.
I just have a question. I think it was it Peter? So are you saying, or to anyone, this situation, so the Sportsman's Landing shops, is that what we're talking about, where the parking is inadequate and there is no parking, in other words? Is that what you're saying? And they park on Alcove?
He's saying when should any construction end up happening for tearing down the hotel and building an apartment, that
right.
most of the parking now that's being used by
Okay.
people going to the shops will not be available to use for
Okay,
years, perhaps. And that where is everyone going to park, both employees and patrons? So,
well, okay, so then they are currently, I guess what I was getting at, currently patrons are parking in the neighborhood. That's what I
they
also,
already are, yes.
okay. I think that's an important thing because when more and more projects are being proposed and approved and they really don't have parking, and the unspoken plan is that it neighborhoods absorb those cars, those parked cars. Thank you.
Thanks. And remember, we have a city government from the mayor and a lot of council members who want to do nothing but lessen the parking requirements everywhere because they think nobody drives a car and that we have adequate mass transit to get around already, So that's why these things keep getting approved with less parking requirements. All right, I'm going to go on to number 6. Discussion and possible motion with respect to requesting a left turn arrow on southbound Coldwater Canyon Avenue at Moore Park Street. And let me just read a proposed motion, and then I'm going to ask Ellen Manella to give us a brief, tell us about the situation there. And my proposed motion says the Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, requests Council Member Nithya Raman and the Los Angeles Department of Transportation, LADOT, to install a left turn arrow on southbound Coldwater Canyon Avenue at Moore Park Street. Let me, before I go to call-in user, let me go to Ellen Manella. Can you unmute, Ellen? If you're on the phone, press *9 or unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank
good.
you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ellen Manella. I live on Coldwater Canyon. I'm new to the community. I'm here from New York City. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we can hear.
Oh, good. I tried, my daughter lives 7 minutes away from me. In the effort to make the left on Coldwater and Moorhead each morning or afternoon or in between or anytime, it is very difficult because of the traffic issue. Sometimes you go through 1 or 2 or 3 lights before you can make a left. You're entering in the crossway, and very often people are just going left on the red light. So I propose that we request a green arrow so that we can have some time to make our left turn there, just as we do on Ventura when we make the left. That is what I'm hoping that will be accomplished here. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And Ellen, that the left turn pocket is not very long there either, is it?
Right. Exactly. It's so difficult. Sometimes, again, being new to California, I'm an older driver, has nothing to do, age has nothing to do with it. You cannot make a left turn there unless there's no traffic coming on the other way. And that's a joke because there's always loads and loads of traffic. And if you're not waiting for the traffic, you're waiting for pedestrians. And by that time, the light turns red and you cannot make your left turn. So I propose that somebody pays attention. All they have to do is do the same thing they do at Ventura. It's not I mean, I don't know what cost and all that nonsense is. I just know that it would make it safer and easier. So that's my proposal. I'll gladly get
Thank
in the
you.
car and go with somebody and show them what I'm talking about if it's necessary.
Thank you, Ellen. And should this motion pass tonight, and we will take a vote shortly after comments, it would 2 weeks from tonight, it would be voted on by the full board of the neighborhood council, and then it would be submitted to the council member Rahman and Los Angeles Department of Transportation. So it has some steps to go through, but this is
I get it.
getting the
Also,
ball rolling.
I would like to just say one more thing. Since I'm here, I'm only here since October. I've called a number of times the sanitation, and I'm happy to tell you that a chair that's been sitting outside of the Arco gas station has been removed. Litter and garbage has removed from Highway 101 or whatever that is down the road a piece. So I feel like I'm bringing my positive energy here. I don't want to bring negative energy to anybody. I'm trying to be positive. So that's my journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And LA can definitely use that positive energy. So we'll go to public comment, call-in user number 1.
Well, once again, Ellen, you're a 25-year-old young person just complaining. I don't like it. You got to understand a little bit more. Second of all, you took away my chair on the corner. That was terrible of you. You stole my property. Third of all, Ellen, you could have yourself or some other board members contact me. Let me tell you how the process works for this. First of all, they need to do a traffic study. And then they're going to have to do a fiscal study. And then they're going to have to do a logistics regarding building it and so forth. It's not a very nice process. I appreciate the neighbor council even trying to move forward on this, but you need to know what the process is, because I don't think this neighborhood council has the political currency to make ramen noodle to move on this. And she could, the key thing is the funding and the traffic study. So there's actual process that is supposed to go into play that's actually spelled out. But the issue you have to hit first is the traffic study. Now, I don't know if that is some type of highway or there's some reason why it's built that way. A lot of times you get into state and federal things, and also what's built under it. So there's just a lot of what ifs, and it takes a little time. But if someone on the board or whatever wants to hit me up on that, I'll be glad to do stuff under my name so you don't have to hear backlash from the politicians. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello.
The
Hello.
city.
May I speak again?
Go ahead.
This is Ellen Manella, responding to the gentleman who just spoke. I'm a 79-year-old widow, new to California, only moved here because my children are here. So I don't know about your politics. I'm just telling you, I'm 79, not a 25-year-old uneducated individual. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. And like I said, we are trying to get the ball rolling on this with this initial start here. Okay, go ahead, next caller.
Yes, how about that? And you have to go through Nithya Ramen, who's doing business as Nithya Ramen Noodle. And that's going to be hard. Well, why? Why would this be hard? Well, because it's not benefiting the homeless. She represents only the homeless. She doesn't like taxpayers. And she doesn't like Studio City or Sherman Oaks. Yes, but she loves Encino, doesn't she? And that's the problem of getting things through. You used to have a leader. You used to be in CD2 with the Armenian goat herder. And now you are subject to slavery underneath Nithya Ramen Noodle's thumb. And that's a terrible thing to do. But we will keep fighting. Yes, and finally, that chair. Yes, that was an important chair. And the Arco station has been looking at that chair and wanting to remove it for years. They're going to miss that chair. Yeah, I'm going to miss it too. Yes, that's right. But don't worry. There's plenty of homeless criminals on Ventura Boulevard I think they'll put it together and get another chair over there real soon. That's what they do. The homeless roam all over the place. They defecate everywhere and they dig tunnels underneath new projects. Scott can tell you about how they burrowed their way underneath the LA River into the new Erewhon parking lot. That's impossible. Yes, but I have photos, human. And that's what they do. Driving cars is for taxpayers. Nithya doesn't want that. She wants you to ride your electric bike or take public transportation so that you can sit next to people who are on crack cocaine. That is her vision of the future. So remember that when you vote for her in 2024, like you dumb fucks will do, that Nithya wants to make you a fourth world country. Goat Puppet wants you to be a first world country. Yes, I agree with that.
Thank you.
That's right.
We'll go next to committee members. So public comment is closed.
Do I get rebuttal? No,
And,
you get nothing.
and sorry, Scott, I took your hand down in error. So we're committee members now. Go ahead, Scott.
Thank you. I want to say Ellen is absolutely right. That intersection is awful. It's getting worse by the day. What will also make things completely miserable is that that's the truck haul route for the incoming trucks for the Harvard Westlake River Park project. They will be exiting Coldwater Canyon off the freeway, heading south on Coldwater Canyon and turning left on Moore Park. So in addition to all the traffic, we're going to have thousands of trucks every day. Well, not thousands every day, but thousands over the course of construction, trying to make that left turn as well. And in many cases, unfortunately, only one car will turn on every light. So you could have 3 or 4 signals when it's really busy, to the point where it makes more sense to go out to Fulton and scoop around the other way, or continue down, turn right into the Arco, and then turn right back onto Moore Park. So it is a horrible intersection. And yes, the left turn pocket is too small as well. I believe it only holds 3 cars. So a lot of times it will back up Coldwater Canyon southbound to being only 1 lane while people wait to turn left. So I totally support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no more committee members raising their hands, we will go ahead and vote on this motion as I read it. And I'll do a roll call since I can't see people. So Barry Johnson, I'm a yes. Mark Rubin.
Yes.
Joe Perry.
Yes.
Scott Mandel.
Aye.
So we are unanimous. So Ellen, as I was saying, this motion will go to the full board meeting, 7 o'clock. It's a Zoom meeting. We'll send you the link for the Zoom. It's different than this number, but that'll be 2 weeks from tonight at 7 o'clock. And you'll get the agenda in advance so you can get an idea of how far into the meeting it is. And those meetings generally last till at least 10. So that's like a 3-hour meeting. So we'll try and give you an approximation of when it will be heard. But I suspect if I had to put money on it, that this motion will pass. I do not see why anyone would object to it. So I'm going to move on to agenda item number 7, discussion and possible motion with respect to all District 7 Caltrans palm trees being trimmed on Caltrans property after decades-long neglect. And I have a proposed motion. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, requests Caltrans District 7 to trim the decades-old dead palm fronds from the palm trees on all Caltrans District 7 property after decades-long neglect. And some of you know I do a lot of driving in my job, and I drive on the freeways. And I'm telling you, in LA County, there's not one palm tree on Caltrans land that has been trimmed for probably 30 years or more. It just makes us look horrible. And it's so funny because when you go to like a city like Phoenix, the adjacent land next to their freeways that's owned by state highways, it's like immaculate. And we are just full of weeds and dead palm fronds. It's terrible. So perhaps we can nudge Caltrans into doing, I mean, they must have, 100,000 palm trees in District 7. They need to start now if they're going to make this place look pretty in 28 for the Olympics. So go ahead, call in user number 1.
Well, did you actually call someone at Caltrans? Because I see right here in their operation manual how to get things done.
I have called in many things, yeah. And done.
Did they call you names?
No, I mean I do their online portal, and they're not real responsive.
You have I believe you have my email. I will get you a principal where you could actually talk to someone and strangle them. How would you like that?
Okay.
Okay, so but you have to dedicate this to Goat Puppet. Since I'm not since I've not had my DNA, I'm not considered Goat Puppet's son. I'm considered a sidekick bastard goat. So my hooves are going to be, need trimming, and he's the only one that could pay for it. Thank you. But hit me up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, the city, go ahead.
Yeah, signed up as fuck the city. How appropriate. That's right. And the Metro Board is made up of all 5 county cunt supervisors, the mayor, and a couple of corrupt city council members. How are you going to get them to do this? So I have a gardener here, Jose, so he'll tell you what to do. Go ahead, Jose.
Hi. I've taken up gardening recently. I'm going to be going away to out of state for about 9 to 13 years. So I'm trying to learn how to trim palm trees, and they're real sharp. You got to crawl up the tree like a monkey, and then you have to take a chainsaw with one hand, and then you have to cut these things, the fronds they call them, so they fall down on the ground and hit people. And I did it, and I hurt my wrist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I used to be a big time politician, but now I have to actually start thinking about getting real job skills now, because when you go where I'm going, you have to have certain skills. Otherwise, big, large men, they'll bend you over at night and they'll put it up your butt. So I'm trying to find a way to get into a lesser security facility. So I tried this palm tree trimming. I don't think it's for me. So I'll hand it back to Goat Puppet.
Thank you there, Mr. Weezar.
No, Jose.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I don't want people to know my last name because it's in the papers, And by the way, any of you in Studio City, if I cheated you in my plum committee, I'm real sorry. I hope, Scott, I hope you'll write me a letter to Judge Walter recommending the minimum, please. I'm trying to get some goodwill out here.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely. And remember,
And thank
people,
you.
this is an expensive service. Yes, palm tree trimming is expensive. Yes.
Thank you.
I trim my
Thank
own
you, the
palm
city.
trees. Yeah, well, that's because you have skills.
Thank you. Go ahead, Chip.
Thank you, Barry. Yeah, I agree with you completely on the aesthetics of the palm trees, but I also think it's important, particularly to get the city to move to point out the potential for pedestrians and other people to be injured in addition to property damage.
Okay, yeah. And we did do a similar motion, as you know, in government affairs for the palm trees in Studio City along the boulevard and other places. But these Caltrans locations are not where pedestrians are walking by and large, you know, because they're in there. Well, I guess it could be hitting people that are illegally camped on Caltrans land. I guess that could be a danger. Yeah, thanks. Anybody else on number 7? And by the way, I'm going to read it one more time because I forgot to ask for a second. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council requests Caltrans District 7 to trim the decades-old dead palm fronds from the palm trees on all Caltrans District 7 property after decades-long neglect. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. All right. Seeing no more committee members' hands raised, we'll go ahead and vote. I'll do roll call. Barry Johnson, I'm a yes. Mark?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Thank you. So we are unanimous. Moving on to agenda item number 8, discussion and possible motion with respect to inaccurate new signage along the Los Angeles River. And I'm going to let Scott comment on this. Oh, and let me read a motion that I have proposed. The Board of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, SCNC, requests the inaccurate new signage along the Los Angeles River be corrected, and then in parentheses, see attached list, which is not part of the motion, but we will have a list for the board meeting. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Scott. Scott, let me have you comment on this before I go to public comment.
Sure. Actually, I'm going to share screen here. Oh, you have to promote me so I can share my screen.
Okay. What do I need to click on?
Yes,
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Make me a co-host, and that should do it. Or
Okay,
I can reclaim my host powers if you're having trouble.
Okay, you should be able to now.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, how nice.
So, as some of you who frequent the LA River have noticed, a whole bunch of signs have been installed, and many of them are inaccurate or perhaps inappropriate. And I'm going to go through this quickly. Just tell me when you've had enough. Here is one of the signs that you should be able to see. I'll zoom in in a second. This is the North Bank facing east towards Coldwater Canyon. This sign is actually accurate, except it says Sportsman's Lodge. I'm curious as to how they got signage placements, and there is no Sportsman's Lodge. So that's sort of a double question, but that's not the worst of it. So.
And it would be closer than Ventura Boulevard, yet it says it's 0.2 of a mile and Ventura is 0.1 of a mile. So that's even inaccurate.
They might be talking about the hotel. So you go to Ventura and then go to the hotel. I think that's what they're referencing.
I guess.
So since there is no hotel, and I wonder if Sportsman's Lodge paid to be listed on these signs. That's a whole other fish. Here's another one, which is fairly accurate. This is the North Bank facing east towards Whitsett. Okay, LA River, Studio City Rec Center, restroom, and then Ventura Boulevard. Now we're going to continue down the river. This one is a problem. This is the, we're facing east, looking to the ramp that goes up to lot 690 by Bank America. This is telling you to go up the ramp to get to Ventura Boulevard. You don't want to do that. First of all, there's no access anymore to Ventura Boulevard. All those gates were closed due to this. This is actually not the worst of it, but you walk up the ramp and you can encounter, or you will encounter, a homeless encampment, and you could be trapped. So that is an inaccurate sign and probably shouldn't. I mean, it'd be nice if they opened the gates and gave us access. That's what these ramps were originally for. But due to the crime, they shut the ramps.
Yeah, they shouldn't have put the sign there until they were
Exactly.
going to make sure that thing was open, at least during daylight hours every day.
So now we're on the South Bank facing east towards Laurel Canyon. Not bad. More Park. I'll go through the good ones as quick as possible. This is just a few feet away, and they have a second sign. Now we're going to get to some good ones. We've already passed Laurel Canyon. We're facing east, and it's telling us that somehow we can turn left to go to the Studio City Rec Center. Well, there's no left turn there. So you're already past Laurel Canyon and you're not pointing anywhere towards the rec center.
And really, they shouldn't be pointing that out anywhere east of Whitsett.
Exactly. So you're on the wrong street and you're past any possible point. This one's not too bad. Pointing to Moore Park, Ventura Boulevard, and Will Acre Park. We'll go to the next one. Now, get a load of this one. We've already passed Laurel Canyon. We're facing east. And look at the top, Sportsman's Lodge, veer to the right. Well, we're past Laurel Canyon facing east. And then again, Studio City Rec Center, a slight jog to the left. That's completely incorrect. I don't know what they were thinking about. Now, this may seem trivial, but somebody went through the effort to prepare these signs and install them. And I don't think they talked to anybody who's affiliated with the river, or I don't know where they got their information from.
And we paid for that.
Sure. So this is that old pedestrian bridge at Colfax in the river. And as you're looking at the pedestrian bridge and you want to get to Ventura Boulevard, rather than pointing upwards to cross the bridge, it's pointing you towards Tujunga. You don't want to go to Tujunga. So that should be a straight up, not a left. This one's not too bad. We're at
But why would you have a metro stop arrow when you haven't at any of the? I mean, if you were going to do that, you would do that on every sign. Why just?
I don't know. I was focusing on the inaccuracies more than the absurdities.
And also, Woodbridge Park is not 1.5 miles from there. It's probably 3/4 of a mile.
This one's kind of not really necessary. You're on Colfax. You're standing on Colfax, pointing towards Radford Studios. You can see Ventura Boulevard. It's right there. You really don't need a sign, but okay, now we're on the North Bank. We're heading west. We're looking at the Laurel Grove Bridge. This is not a place where people walk. Here we got Sportsman's Lodge again, but also a left turn to get to Ventura Boulevard. Now, when you're on this side of the river, you have to get up onto Valley Heart and cross the bridge. You can't turn left to get to Ventura Boulevard. It does not make any sense to even have signage on that side of the river. Now we're in the same area facing the other direction, and they're pointing for you to go 0.1 miles over the river. So you either have to go backwards to Laurel Grove or forwards to Laurel Canyon and turn right. You cannot cross the LA River here.
And even if you could cross the river, there's no ramp up to the, to get up from there. You still have to go to either Laurel Grove or Laurel Canyon.
Right. This isn't bad. We are on the North Bank facing east towards Witsit. So we're going to go up the ramp to where the fire station is. That's, oh, and this one here, this is a different sign, probably put in by a different group. But when you're looking at Moore Park facing that sign, it's pointing to the Tujunga Wash. The LA River is the other direction. And
yeah,
the two things are, so it's just a bunch of, I'll unshare. I probably, everyone fell asleep. So wake up, the slideshow's over. But
thanks.
It's, I mean, for those of us who do frequent the river, we were pretty shocked to see that someone spent the money for these signs, and they're borderline absurd and inaccurate. I've also heard from other stakeholders about this. So it wasn't just my, oh, you have to disable the screen share. Other
No, this is great.
And there's actually someone on the line who will probably raise her hand and may have a comment as well, Rose, if you want to, when Barry goes to public comment. I know Rose frequents the river, Chip does. Barry, you need to disable screen sharing for others. That's not me.
Okay, I think I have disabled.
Right. What a lovely photo, Scott.
Okay. All right, I'll go to public comment. Go ahead, call in user 1.
Well, you're going to have to deal with how are they going to be fixed and who's going to pay for it. One thing you need to look at is on the signs, generally, they put the sign maker's sticker on the back. And then if you find that out, you could just hit me up on an email. I'll give you the contract. Second issue you could do is go and look up permits or contact street services directly, not 311, because you deal with a bunch of, some people are not knuckleheads, but most of them are, to see what permits or what engineering feats were done. Because if you take up real estate, there shall be something in writing. So you might want to look at that. Or you could go to Ramen Noodle, and she could just say, I'll get back to you until you go fuck yourself. But that's not right. Another issue you could do is contact the conservation people or the tree people that deal with that river and see if they know anything about. You've identified the problem, and thank you for doing that. But the thing is it all on private or public? Are they leasing it? There's a bunch of what ifs, and I just don't want you to waste your time, because Dunn likes wasting people's time. And if you went to Van Nuys, not only they would say you're a racist about it because you're against free speech, but they would think that you're an asshole. So if you want to go to Van Nuys to feel terrible, neighborhood council, you could do that. But if you keep up this proactive, trying to make things better and trying to utilize the facilities, that's good. But in Van Nuys, the only facilities that they use are the public toilets, and that's not always very clean. And they like more beignets over there than anything else. So they basically hook it up with the fire hydrant and clean themselves that way. So thank you very much for the presentation. Keep well.
Go ahead, the city.
Yes, but you have to know that the signs are accurate. But Scott said they're wrong. No, the signs are for the homeless. See, if you're on crack cocaine and you read the signs, you read them backwards, see? So if you're on crack and you're homeless, the arrows are in the correct direction. But if you're sober, then they're in the wrong direction. And again, I have a sign engineer here for the city. He's known as Ted. Now go ahead here, sir.
Okay, thank you. I come from India. I get the job for the city of Los Angeles. I apply over there last year. I have master's degree and I have no experience. And the city hired me right away.
And how much do you get?
Oh, I did design. I get $95,400 plus car allowance and pension. So I went ahead and I did designs, and I believe that I did them in kilometers. That's what I do in my country. So I think the signs are good. I disagree. I think designs are good. I think they're right.
There you go. So how are we going to fix the problem? The city thinks that the signs are correct. So again, I'm not suggesting you should do this, but hypothetically, if anybody out there reads the signs on drugs and you wind up with the correct instructions, please let us know at the meeting in 2 weeks. Oh,
Thank
okay.
you.
Yes, that's all right. Yes, we appreciate it. And thank you again for the screen sharing. That last photo, Scott, was really nice. I like that homeless encampment one.
Thank you. Go ahead, Rose.
Yes, first I want to thank Scott because I was talking to him about this and he really followed through incredibly well here. I've got no idea where the signs came from, who paid for them. I'm sure it wasn't anything to do with Tree People because they're further up the river than that. And it may seem petty, but I think those signs need to be either taken down or put in the right places. It's also weird that they're all facing the same way, as if they're kind of assuming you're only going to walk in one direction. Anyway, thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Rose. Go ahead, Melanie.
Yep, sorry for being late. These are the county of Los Angeles signage. So we need to reach out to Barger's office. I expect they should have coordinated with the city in installing these, especially when they're on city property, as the one that's so hilariously inaccurate on Moore Park and Laurel. But I would reach out to the supervisor's office and at the same time, reach out to Public Works staff who oversee their master plan so that everybody knows you know who to talk to, and somebody eventually will get back with you on it. But it's been out there for so long and it's just so bad, especially the one pointing to Tahunga Wash, saying that's the Los Angeles River. That's just so cringe. So I hope we can get some follow through, but it would be nice if the city would back us up on reaching out to Barger on this, I think. So yay, let's get it fixed. Thanks.
And Melanie, that's Public Works for the county?
Yeah, that's the County Department of Public Works. It is indeed.
Okay.
You can reach out to me if you don't have contacts over there. I can give you the folks in the River Project office who mostly deal with right-of-way stuff and who, like Carolina, if you don't know Carolina, who should be in the chain. Anything you talk to anybody about over there has to go up the chain of command almost to the top before you're going to get a response. But I would copy the council office as well as Barger's office, as well as Public Works staff when you communicate with them.
Okay, yeah, we were going to do that, and two supervisors, because Barger only goes as far east as Laurel Canyon, so we've got to do the new supervisor going west of Laurel Canyon.
Yeah, yep, you do. This is true.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, thanks.
You bet.
All right, so public comment is closed. We'll go to committee comment. Go ahead, Joe.
I just have a question for Melanie, my understanding is that the side of the river that's unpaved and is in a, that greenway is controlled by the Conservancy, isn't it? The Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, or am I?
No, well, controlled by, so the right of way in this part of the river, in this part of the valley, is controlled by the county.
Okay.
There are use agreements for different stretches. For instance, the landscaped greenway between Radford and Laurel is a county project, so that's totally under county control. The landscaped stretch between Laurel Canyon and Witsit has a use agreement with the city. The landscaped stretch between Witsit and Coldwater is a county project, and there are maintenance contracts with various entities that seem to shift quite regularly there, including Tree People, Northeast Trees, and the Conservancy. Then you go further, each stretch is different, which makes it oh so much fun.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's just, and then the bike path is city, was my understanding, across the river.
Again, it depends on which stretch you're on. It's all
that.
controlled by county, but there are use agreements by different entities in different stretches. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Okay, anybody else? All right, I am not able to unscreen share. So let's go ahead and vote on this. I'll do roll call vote. Barry Johnson, I'm a yes. Mark Rubin?
Yes.
Jill Perry?
Yes.
Scott Mandel?
Yes.
All right, we are unanimous. Thank you. Going on to number 9, update on the progress of the remaining board passed preferential parking district applications and a possible new PPD in the neighborhood to the north of the Sportsman's Lodge complex. I don't have anything new on this. I'm going to table it unless somebody has something new on this item. Go ahead, the city.
Oh, yes. And I like that screen share. Look at that. Wasn't that a great board? Lisa Sorkin and Denise Welving. Oh, the good old days when we had real talent. And of course, we know that there's homeless criminals. Aha! Somebody's playing with the screen sharing. Who put a picture of me up on there? How dare you invade my privacy? Yeah, that's kind of weird. Did you do it? No. Fuck no. I'm a puppet. How the hell would I do that? Now, as we go through the screen sharing problem. Now it's a blank screen. Look what Scott has done. He's given us a blank screen. We don't have any information, no photos of this item, no surveillance photos, and sneaky photos that we've seen in the email exchanges with snitches. Now, where is Brandon? Yeah, where the hell is he? Where is he? He's lurking out there somewhere. I can feel it. Out there, recording this right now, sneaking around and sending out emails that there's signs that are having problems and other items. Scott needs to watch his back with that snitch. Yes, that's right. Back in the good old days when John Walker was the president, Lisa Sorkin was on the board. We knew one thing. You were only allowed to go to Radford and eat. You got 2 minutes, and then they called the police and threw you off of the lot. It used to be a 20-minute free dinner for goat puppets. Now, meetings are 3-4 hours. Look what Scott has done to us.
Thank you. So we are, go ahead, call in user number 1.
Just want to make sure this is regarding number 9.
Yes.
Okay. I'm the goat puppet's illegitimate bastard son. And when I was trying to get back with him, he did a preferential parking district. So when I was trying to set up my horse and buggy in front of his place, trying to ask to recognize me so I could get an inheritance, he did these applications against me. And, you know, he's a migrator. He grazes a lot. And he's in Studio City now, but these parking district applications might hurt me so I could get back with my goatee father. I just want to be recognized so I could get an inheritance. And I need Studio City to help me so I get an exemption from these parking applications so I could try to sneak attack on him and get his DNA. That's all I ask. I'm only one hoof away. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Seeing no more, I will go to number 10. Do we have any comments from committee members on subject matter within the committee's jurisdiction? No committee members on subject matter. So I'm going to move on to number 11, closing comments by the committee chair. Our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March 1st, 4 weeks from today. As of right now, the state law is mandating that we meet in person at the conference room where we last held our meeting in March of 2020. And for anybody that has any disease worries, you're free to wear a mask. You all have been in this room and know its size and know the amount of people we usually get here. So I will be in touch with the committee members as we get closer to that date if anything changes and any other ramifications. The other thing we can always do is, and we did in the past, if we had a hot topic where we knew we were going to have more people, we can go to the larger conference room right off Radford, which this committee did a couple times. So we will keep that in mind. But stay tuned. All is not set in stone, perhaps right at this moment in time, but we'll see what happens. Go ahead, the city. Public comment on 11.
Yeah, meeting in person. That hasn't happened in almost 3 years. So remember to order food. Food is important. And just make sure when you order that food that people are wearing a mask when they're preparing it so they don't cough on it. And so you don't have that free pizza and then come out with COVID and SARS. That's a good point. That's right. Imagine having to go through the drudgery again of having in person. Without the mobile ability of the goat puppet, imagine I'm up there right now on my farm. I finished grazing tonight at 6:30. And because of this Zoom, I'm able to go to Van Nuys. No, you went to Reseda too. And Reseda and Studio City, reaching my hoof out there and extending my control of all of your minds. Do you really want to end that? Well, that's why the fuck they're going to end meeting. Yes, that's right. They're doing it to reduce my influence. So I'll have to find out, maybe like Dolly, if I can clone myself and go to meetings. Yes, it might be possible. Goat Puppet might have to clone himself so that we can attend a minimum 6 meetings a day. So what should we cater? Oh, Michelli's. All right, so write this down, Scott. Rigatoni with meat sauce. Rigatoni meat sauce. Caesar salad. Caesar salad. And no singing waiters. I hate that shit when they sing. But the food is good. Catering.
And thank you.
Back. Yes, thank you. And I make a motion to adjourn from the floor.
Thank you.
I second.
Go ahead, call in user 1.
At these in-person meetings, will there be a litter box that I could use? Because some of the other neighborhood councils are making sure they're having litter boxes for people that need to use them. It's part of how a person identifies. I was told a lot of people like to identify as a cat, so I would like to know if you're going to have litter boxes and what type of litter. Is it going to be the good Petco stuff, or are you going to get the plain wrap stuff at the supermarket? And how is it going to be disposed of, too? Is it going to be clumpy? Are there going to be union people there that are going to do the fixing and supervising and all that? I think that's very important. I do have to say, Mr. Chairman, you ran a very good meeting, very exact, very accurate, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So number 12, adjournment. I'm making a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. All in favor? I'm in favor. Mark?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Thank you. We're adjourned at 8:32. Thank you. Stay tuned for details on next month's meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Oh boy.
Thank you.